Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to People's Poetry. We've got a great afternoon of poetry for you folks. Today we're joined by Written Quincey, Hanna Al-Jibouri, Claire Collins, and Quraysh Ali Lansana. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that the land where we gather is the home of the Cherokee, Muskogee Creek, and Osage nations, as well as the ancestral home of the Caddo and numerous other tribes before forced removal. I'd also like to acknowledge that we're standing on land that once was part of the Greenwood District. We would like to pay respects to the people who called this land home and respect their histories. In-house, we got a lot of people to thank today. I'd like to thank Sam, Chloe, Jeremy, and everyone else who's helped make this event possible. I'd like to thank our poets for being here and agreeing to share their work with you all. I'd like to thank the Calliope group. They're outside. They're going to be selling books just right outside the theater after this. And I'd like to thank all of y'all for coming out to see us today. Woody Guthrie was a prolific artist. He wrote over 3,000 songs in his lifetime. He painted, he drew, he carved wood, and he wrote essays, novels, short stories, plays, and even poetry. Woody wrote on any piece of paper he could get his hands on and about any subject he could wrap his mind around. But despite the medium, despite the subject matter, there was one central theme in all of Woody's work, and that was people. I think a testament to that message is that Woody Guthrie once wrote, "A folk song is what's broke and how to fix it." Or it could be who's hungry and where their mouth is, or who's out of work and how to fix it, or who's broke and where the money is, or who's carrying a gun and where the peace is. Adrienne Rich shared a similar sentiment when she wrote that poetry is not revolution, but a way of knowing why it must come. Our poets this afternoon were all selected because they write in this mode, because their work shows you, like a folk song, what's broke and how to fix it. Before we invite our poets up on the stage today, I'd like to read a poem written by Woody Guthrie. It's called Voice. I don't know how far I'm going to have to go to see my own self or to hear my own voice. I tuned in on the radio and for hours never heard it. And then I went to the moving picture show and never heard it there. I put handfuls of coins into machines and watched records turn, but the voice there was no voice of mine. I mean, it was not my voice. The words, not words that I hear in my own ears when I walk along and look at the faces. I sit here in a Jewish delicatessen and I order a hot pastrami sandwich on rye bread. And I hear the lady ask me, "Would you like a portion of coleslaw on the side?" And I know when I heard her speak that, she spoke my voice. And I told her that I would like my slaw on a side dish, please. And I would like to have a glass of tea with lemon, please. And she knew that I was speaking her words. And a fellow sat across the table near my wall and spoke as he ate his salami and drank his beer. And somehow I had the feeling as I heard him speak, and he spoke a long time. And not one word was in my personal language, but I could tell by the deep sound, by the full tone of his voice that he spoke my language. And I suppose you may wonder just how he could speak in a dialect that I could not savvy nor understand, and yet understand every sound that he made. I learned to do this a long time ago, walking up and down the side roads and main stems of this land here. I learned to listen this way when I washed dishes on the ships. I had to learn how to do it when I walked ashore in Africa and in Scotland and in Ireland and in Britain, London, Liverpool, Glasgow, Scots towns and Anglo farms, Irish canals and railroad bridges, Highlanders, cows and horses. And here I knew the speech was the same as mine, but it was the dialect again. Nasal, throatsy, deep chesty, from the stomach, from the lungs, high in the head, pitched up and down. And here I had to learn again to say, this is my language. This is part of my voice. Oh, but I have not seen or heard these voices on stage, screens, radios, records, jukeboxes, in magazines, nor not in newsprint, seldom in courtrooms, and more seldom when students and policemen are studying the faces behind the voices. And I thought, as I saw a drunken street walking man mutter and spit and curse into the wind out the cafe's plate glass, that maybe, if I looked close enough, I might hear some more of my voice. And I ate as quiet as I could so as to keep my eyes and my ears and my feelings wide open, and did hear, heard all that I came to hear here in Coney Island's Jewish air, heard reflections, recollections, seen faces and memories, heard voices untangle their words before me, and I knew by the feeling I felt that here was my voice. Thank you. Our first poet this afternoon is Fire in Little Africa's own Written Quincey. Originally from College Hill, Cincinnati, Ohio, Written Quincey has called Tulsa, Oklahoma home for over the past decade. A visionary with a creative lens through artistic expression, this gentleman capitalizes on favor and skill to enhance one of the world's most ancient forms of literature. Poetry is fatherhood, social justice, activism, lovemaking, brainstorming, teaching, learning, reading, questioning theory, questioning lyricism, and using lyricism to challenge the monotony of tradition. Q, known to many, studied at the University of Cincinnati, apprenticed in AmeriCorps, has traveled the nation since 2000, performed in over 50 venues. Since 2014, he has held the position as the artist in residence at Tulsa Central High School for Fine and Performing Arts. Received several awards, now teaching humanities at Tulsa Legacy Charter School. Additionally, sitting as a poetry committee member at Living Arts of Tulsa, slam poetry coach with Louder Than a Bomb, 2018 TEDx University of Tulsa Fellow, and founder of Cypher 120 Experience, which is responsible for the urban musical, visual, literary, and artistic renaissance in Tulsa. An artist featured in the Fire in Little Africa project sponsored by Motown, as well as his highly anticipated debut album Tardy Pass, released in 2001. He is currently attending Phillips Theological Seminary in pursuit of a Master's of Fine Arts and Social Justice. Please welcome Written Quincey.
That bio shit is weird, bro. Cause you write it though, you know what I'm saying? So it's you write in third person about yourself for a bio and shit. And then you listen to it like somebody else wrote it. Oh, good afternoon, everybody. Oh, it's stuffy. Sunday, we are alive, we're present, we are breathing, we are able to hear poetry at Woody Guthrie's house, Bob Dylan's house. So, forgive me, but the traditional listening oratorical sessions that you are used to when you come to listen to poetry, this is not that shit. All right, so I need feedback to make sure that we are alive, that I'm not the only one struggling through my breaths up here. So good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody.
This land is your land, and this land is my land, from the California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me.
Y'all know this? You can sing along
I went a walking
if you know it, right?
that ribbon of highway. I saw above me that endless skyway. Saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me.
We know that part at least, right?
I roamed and rambled, and I followed my footsteps to the sparkling sands of her diamond deserts. All around me a voice was sounding, this land was made for you and me. When the sun comes shining, then I was strolling, and the wheat fields waving, and the dust clouds rolling. The voice was chanting as the fog was lifting, this land was made for you and me. This land is your land, and this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from redwood forests to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me.
I'm gonna stop it right there. From a perspective of speaking to Woody Guthrie, reflecting over the first time visiting his gravesite, speaking to his tombstone. Hey, my friend. Hey, my friend. And I hope it's okay that I call you that. Before I continue, just for the record, I'm black, and I heard about your daddy, so forgive me. I just wanted to get that shit out the way. I don't want to disturb the sleep of the rest of the dead and all. I just want you to know that out the gate. Part of me wants to believe that you don't even give a fuck about all of that. And I'm going to lean on that belief. Whew. Well, no matter how many times I visit a cemetery, it don't ever get no easier. So forgive me if I'm a little comfortable. I actually brought a little something for that. And I would offer you some, put it in my jacket over there, but I heard about that too. So I'm gonna just take me a little sip real quick. So before I continue, to add some context to what I'm talking about, did a little bit of research after I was asked to come, after my picture was put up in the hallway after I had to cancel a gig a couple months ago. And I messed my ankle up and had to do a performance here. Woody Guthrie was a regular human being. Dealt with some real regular human being shit. His father wasn't perfect. Probably wouldn't even agree with me being right here, speaking in the center named after his son. So, to add a little bit of context, and as a result of him dealing with the fire that he dealt with in his life and the loss of life that he dealt with in his life, he drank a little bit. I can relate to that. I remember some times where I had to lean on a little bit of alcohol, so I brought something for us to sip on while I'm here. But I heard about you taking your drink, so I don't want to cause any problems. In fact, I've been hearing a lot of teen lately. World different since '67, but not really. Considering who you is, you probably knew that already. Bet you ain't know there would be a whole museum and center named after you, did you? Yeah, a whole nice center with windows and air conditioning. It's about 105 today. And heat, too. I appreciate your contribution to the world. I imagine if you ain't say and play the way you did, and lift that energy into the universe, there's a chance I wouldn't be who I am. And listening to this land is your land. It's a good song. Good song, Mr. Guthrie. I like it. I like it a lot. More the way that you strum the strings and the tone of your voice and the colors that are lifted when you play and when you sing. Being honest, probably ain't never gonna play it when I'm riding down the street, but this land, I wish I could ask you what you meant when you wrote it. Wish I could even get your opinion on why the last 3 original verses we don't hear in the song. I wish I would have heard you sing it. It changes everything. Because them last three verses is what captures me the most, is what I like the best. I imagine if he was singing it, and these are the last three verses, original verses too. This land is your land. Because of the cadence of the song, I'm going to try to sing it in Woody's voice, Mr. Guthrie's voice. As I went walking, I saw a sign there, and on the sign it said, no trespassing. But on the other side, it didn't say nothing. This side was made for you and me. Right, and there's the dun 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 dun. In the shadow of the steeple, I saw my people. By the relief office, I seen my people. As they stood there hungry, I stood there asking, is this land made for you and me? Nobody living can ever stop me as I go walking that freedom highway. Nobody living can ever make me turn back. This land was made for you and me. Different, huh? Wish I could have asked what you meant when you wrote it. Wish I could have even got your opinion on why these last verses were not included. No trespassing. My people ain't been allowed to go everywhere they want in this land of ours. Brown kids shot for jogging in the wrong neighborhoods. As they stood there hungry, my people been hungry. In this land of ours, what you wouldn't believe was 3 blocks from this building with your name on it. Nobody living can ever stop me as I go walking that freedom highway. Nobody living can ever make me turn back. Sound like the lyrics to a civil rights movement chant. We all heard it. I wrote something a few years ago, echoes similar sentiments, especially knowing your machine kills fascists. The last few lines of it read, come from the slum and the gutter and the wit crate. Cul-de-sac, water hose, get sprayed. America, this motherfucker. It's where our skin looks like ivory to the culture. Policia be the poacher. Brown bodies taxidermed and displayed in the living room. Bag back, give me room. Brown body come back from the tomb to tell the truth. They jealous at me and you. They fear. They kill with zeal, me and you. How about midnight? Build me and you. Sip, overproof. Half the bottle down, me and you. Cream the silk scarf. Stuff down the neck of it. Asphyxiate the spirit. Light that bitch on fire and catapult it. My machine kills fascists too, Woody. And racism. And bigotry. And hate. And evil.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to this new shit. Ride with me. Live from the flight deck, your master of ceremony here, there vibe with me. Let a vibe win. Like chopper blade, your best gun, propel the ear for new shit, they'll catch up for it. Swear they tried to Henry Box Brown me, but the college hill, Avondale, down the way. Found in Cincinnati known to metaphorically break down the barricade, literally. When they come to a pen in 30 minutes, ain't many who can fuck with it. Sit with me. I'm a writer. I'm biased about the moonlight, especially since every mom in the hood. Yeah, when the street light, I'm raised right. Come from the slum in the gutter and the wit crate. Cul-de-sac, water hose, get sprayed. America, this motherfucker. So our skin be like ivory to the culture. Policia be the poacher. Brown body taxidermy displayed in the living room. Bag back, give me room. Brown body come back from the tomb and tell the truth. They jealous at me and you. They fear. They kill with zeal, me and you. How about midnight, build me and you? Sip overproof, half the bottle down, me and you. Creme de silk scar, stuff down the neck of it, asphyxiate the spirit, light that bitch on fire.
Cheers to Woody Guthrie.
Thank you, Written. That was awesome, man. Our next poet is Claire Collins. Claire Collins is an actor, poet, and activist. First appearing in The Drunkard, the longest continually running play in the U.S. at age 10. In 2013, they became a poet mentor for the literary arts organization Louder Than a Bomb. They are the co-founder of Poetic Justice, an educational program with the criminal justice system. Their short film, I Love You Like Science, received the Linklater Award for Best Dialogue at Austin Art House Film Festival. As a non-binary artist, their work celebrates not only their sexuality, but their connection with the divine and the fluidity that allows for creation. Please give it up for Claire Collins.
Hi, happy Sunday. Happy Sunday afternoon. I can start with an origin story. My mother's hush house cold, Ongwe, comes from where it snows. My father gathered streams of consciousness, tributary madness, his mouth an Irish goodbye. I was born in an April blizzard. Mother scorns the sky in my eyes. My name means bright. When I am 5 minutes old, mother sends me down river, tells me not to make a peep. I drink what might drown me. We use the term Ongwe to refer to the real people. All things of the world are real, material things. The creation is a true material phenomenon, and the creation manifests itself through reality. The spiritual universe, then, is manifest to man as the creation which supports life. We believe that man is real, a part of the creation, and that his duty is to support life in conjunction with the other beings. That is why we call ourselves Mohawks, Ongwe, real people. Trailer trash. Double wides yawn sideways, porch sags under secrets, food stamps stashed in envelope. Mom collects pennies in shoebox. Flies find a dog food dinner. The couch, a donation. It didn't ask to be here. Like you. Like when you and your brother walk to the corner store to buy peanut butter and the cashier gives you real change for food stamps. So you can buy nickel warheads. Suck the sour. Where you come from isn't so bad. Till 8th grade, when Amanda H. calls you poor as if it were a communicable disease. Poverty stuck to the roof of your mouth like peanut butter. This one's for when you feel like saving the world. Pull over at the street corner protest, join the crowd, grab a megaphone, feel less alone but more like crying, cry. Cry bitter, bed-hungry tears. Feel the word genocide in your mouth, how it digs a hole, how it's hard to swallow. Spit out cashews, have a panic attack at Whole Foods. Go full peak millennial. Forget to remember how fast the world's spinning. Sit. Lift your sweet spine up to poets. Let them climb the ladder of your vertebrae. Lay on your belly. Translate for me my tongue when I'm inside of you. Don't question love. She's been radicalized. Just hold your face to mine. Let's talk eyes and past lives and how the world is on fucking fire, and so are we, and I'll kiss you like a flower in the apocalypse. Memorize your scent so I can describe it to my grandkids. Hold church inside of me. We are not dirty, but we are dirt. As above, so below, it all moves in a circle, and I'm a millennial who's been around for millennia. My soul is old and tired, and we are still very much on fire. All of us dust, we glitter up with love and love. She be feeling like saving the world too. Like kissing all of your dirt. She just needs you how to remember to get muddy. What vibrations? What mouths, what medicine does the world we live in now need? Please, know that it is you. You, smiling at your fine ass in the mirror. You, being the mirror, reflecting your friend's brilliance back to them. Be a magnifying glass to all that is beautiful in this world. We need you. We need you on your worst day. Still tender enough to smile at a stranger, joke with a cashier, buy someone a meal, hell, a beer. We need you on your best day. Where traffic, nor a man telling you to smile, or overdraft fees could steal your joy. We need your joy. All untouchable, laughing in the face of the devil, may care joy like bliss, like simple things, like clean sheets and lotioned legs and a kiss that makes you forget you even have a body. Joy is simple. We need you, dancing, all salt and rhythm, all heat and hymn. Your small, your big, your simple joy will save you, will save the world. Climate anxiety. At brunch, we listened to two young Christian women on the patio talk about climate anxiety and how it's just too much to take. So they piecemeal their worry, and one says, okay, you worry about the sea turtles, then I'll worry about carbon emissions. Perfect. As if worry fucking helps. And in the next breath, Jesus would so get the vaccine. I've been awake for 1 hour and these women are fucking exhausting me. But I eat my chewy bagel and my warm cream cheese and eavesdrop about their 6 weeks paid time off, and I wonder how I'll get to take vacations, and I decide I'll rob Walmart. Ethically. We'll steal food and keep our masks on till we get in the car and kiss like bandits under the windshield sunshade because it's 108 degrees outside. And we worry that the earth is saying, I'd like you to remember me, so hot, so burning bright. You can't look away from me. You can't escape this heat. Anxiety. Did you know there are places that are homesick for you? Do you not think the earth misses your feet caressing her? Don't look away from me. Do you not think she is daily scorned, insulted by rubber and heat? Do you not think the earth misses your feet caressing her? Don't look away from me. Even the rainwater isn't safe to drink. Even the rainwater isn't safe to drink. Even the rainwater. Even the gods can't breathe. Even the gods can't breathe. All we're promised is forever chemicals, microplastics. Even angels lust for our salty tears. How far do we have to go from here? What degree will our children return to anxiety? Mother once told me I'd always have a home with her. Now I'm scared that isn't true. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Claire. Our next poet is Hanna Al-Jibouri. Hanna Al-Jibouri is an Iraqi Tolson. She received her bachelor's degree in English with an emphasis in creative writing and a minor in gender studies from Hendrix College in Arkansas. Here's where I derail to say that I also have a creative writing degree from Hendrix, and I did not know that when I asked Hanna to read here. She sent the bio in, and I was like, oh, small world. I digress. She received her master's degree in teaching with an emphasis in literacy from OSU Tulsa. She's been a public school elementary teacher for the past 10 years in North Tulsa. She is currently the board president for a local nonprofit organization, Poetic Justice, who provides writing and art workshops for individuals who are incarcerated in women's jails and prisons. She also volunteers with Tornado Alley Bulldog Rescue, and her best friend is her bulldog named Autumn. With her very limited but precious free time, she enjoys being a homebody, reading and writing poetry, and continually contemplating why she has chosen to live in the state of Oklahoma. She seeks to find joy and gratitude in every day while living in this crazy world. Hanna Al-Jibouri, everyone.
Good afternoon. All right. My first poem is called Un-American. I say it should be un-American to take your dog on a walk and not pick up their shit. I say it should be un-American for zip codes to determine educational equity. I say it should be un-American for a woman who does the same job as a man and likely does it better to get paid less. I say it should be un-American to read poetry merely in a book when it is screaming to be read aloud. It should be un-American for Oklahoma roads to be under construction every month of the damn year. It should be un-American for Black children to be raised knowing all too well the time they had to talk about what to do if you get pulled over. It should be un-American for incarcerated women to have to pay for pads and tampons even if they don't have any money on their commissary. It should be un-American for food deserts to exist, eviction notices to be hung on doors, and DHS visits that end up causing more harm than help. It should be un-American to have to write this, to have to say this. It should be un-American to wake up every day in this America. Thank you. I write a lot about my students. School starts on Thursday, by the way, so we're here. And this is about a child who, they enter our lives sometimes for a year or two, and then we never see them or hear from them again. So this is kind of one of those kids that I think about all the time but haven't seen in years. Dallas won't live forever. Dallas's eyes are glazed over, 2 times of post-traumatic stress disorder before he hits double digits, and all they offer me before I take him in my class is, his mama is crazy. Did you read his suspension history? Good luck with that one. Dallas sits at a desk, not because he gets moved there, but because he has found his voice to be able to say he prefers sitting alone. He throws a paper airplane while I read Tuck Everlasting aloud to the class, but he listens intently. Tells me later on, Miss Al-Jibouri, would you drink from the water, live forever if you could? Before I can offer him my own answer, he gives me his. I wouldn't. Dallas's mother was shot by her boyfriend that summer. The kids scream, 911 is called, and Swaley, the youngest in the family, says they should have called me. I'd come and get them, but they don't. So Dallas's father drives up from New Orleans to get him, and his brother takes them back home. Mama calls me to ask if I'd be Swaley's foster mom while she figures some things out for herself. I don't think Dallas would change his answer, but I'd be lying if I didn't look for that tree with the spring trickling over rocks just beside it, planning a way to take a sip, to live forever, or at least long enough to figure some things out for myself. The next piece I actually wrote in a poetry class I took with Q during the pandemic. This is like the height of the Black Lives Matter protests, and yeah, I'll just leave it there. Why I don't want to be a mother. Kenosha, Wisconsin is one reason I have never wanted to be a mother. I know my mother would kill for me and be killed for me, and I don't want to have to feel the same. But society says that's what a mother does. So what kind of mother would I be if I didn't, if I couldn't? I have to believe that even if just for one small moment, Kyle Rittenhouse's mother wished for the same, to be childless, to live alone in her bachelorette pad, drinking a whiskey neat, smoking a Virginia Slim, reading a fashion magazine. Maybe she wished for that right after Kyle called her, trying to make her his getaway car. But the truth is, Wendy Rittenhouse raised Kyle to be the 17-year-old murderer he is. She taught him lessons and led a life that said, this is okay. Is she proud? Is there a sticker she can add to her minivan for his accomplishments? Is there a trophy to put in a glass case somewhere in their dusty home? I hope not, but I fear there is. What is there left to believe when the comments read, Kyle was acting in self-defense, or I hope he gets the death penalty in prison, and you know that neither of those are your truth. It's about another student who has become honestly more like family at this point. I need to write a part 2 because there's been a lot that's happened since then, but this is called A Label He Cannot Remove. Antonio enrolls in his first day of high school, receives his schedule only to find he is in full special education classes still. Boy so smart, he was the only 4th grader to score advanced on the state test. But mama signs his IEP each year, not because he's got a learning disability, but because she needs that Social Security check that comes in every month. 2nd grade baby would throw his chair at his teacher, would punch anyone that looked at him the wrong way, would twist his insides up so small until they unfurled and made him scream. 15-year-old boy now, can't get out of the system. The short bus picks him up because his mom doesn't have a license, but he refused to get on. Now he's truant. Gets caught smoking weed and having sex and cries at night because he doesn't know how to write the next chapter of the story. But he knows what happened next for his daddy. Wants a different ending for his own life, so he plays football now. Practices every night until dark, only freshman on the Friday night field. Antonio has been peeling back his reputation for the 9 years I've known him, but every time his nails sink under to start to move it back, something slaps it on a little harder. Glues it down a little stronger, says, not yet. Your test ain't over. So he does what we all do, falls asleep and wakes up again. I'm going to end on a totally different note, just because, you know, sometimes we need a giggle in life, right? I got my heart broken this year, so that was really cool. Don't recommend it. But, you know, we're here, and trying to date after that has just been funny and comical, so I decided to write some haikus about potential Tinder profile bios. So, failed Tinder profile bios and haiku. Welcome to the show. Life after a narcissist. Don't trust you one bit. Swipe left for hours. Thank God someone cute enough to make me swipe right. Take me on a date. Being clear on what I want. Pull my hair after. Tell me what's your sign. Hope for no Scorpios or Sagittarius. Red flags and rosters. Dating has become a game. Only play to win. If I fall again, someday believing in love, remind me not to. Thank you.
Thank you, Hanna. And our final poet for this afternoon is a good friend of mine, Quraysh Ali Lansana. Quraysh is the author of 20 books of poetry, nonfiction, and children's literature, Lansana is currently a Tulsa Artist Fellow and serves as director for the Center for Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation at Oklahoma State University, Tulsa, where he is also a lecturer in Africana Studies and English. Lansana is executive producer of KOSU NPR's Focus Black Oklahoma monthly radio program, which is a recipient of the 2021 DuPont Columbia Award, a 2021 NCAA NAACP. I'm dyslexic, Q. The NAACP Image Award, a 2021 Oklahoma Society of Professional Journalists Award, and was a Peabody Award nominee. Lansana is also the recipient of an Emmy Award, an Oklahoma Association of Broadcasters Award, and a 2021 National Education Telecommunications Association Public Media Award for his roles as host and consultant for the OETA PBS documentary film Tulsa Race Massacre 100 Years Later. Lansana is a 3-time International Regional Magazine award-winning contributing editor for Oklahoma Today magazine, a former faculty member of both the writing program of the School of the Art Institute of Chicago and the drama division of the Juilliard School. Lansana served as the director of the Gwendolyn Brooks Center for Black Literature and Creative Writing at Chicago State University from 2002 to 2012 and was associate professor of English and Creative Writing there until 2014. His most recent books include Opal's Greenwood Oasis, The Skin of Dreams, New and Collected Poems 1995 to 2018, The Whiskey of Our Discontent, Gwendolyn Brooks as Conscious and Change Agent, and The Breakbeat Poets, New American Poetry in the Age of Hip Hop. Lansana's work appears in Best American Poetry 2019. He is a founding member of Tri-City Collective and serves on the board of directors of the Philbrook Museum of Art and is a curatorial scholar for the Thomas Gilcrease Institute of American History and Art and a curatorial board co-chair for the Ragdale Foundation. With all of those proper nouns out of the way, please welcome Quraysh Ali Lansana.
But don't ask me to play basketball, except for with Lillian in the driveway. Thank you all for being here. It's good to be here. It's really wonderful to be with fam, with Hanna and little sis, Claire, my nephew, Written, and all of you. Thank you, Quinn, and thanks to Woody Guthrie Center. I'm going to read a few poems. I told Claire earlier in this sort of an unplanned theme. My readings are not thematic, but this one seems to have a theme has organically manifested, and that theme is conundrum. So I'm going to read a few poems about conundrums and probably tell you a short story that sort of set this notion of what the fuck am I doing in this situation in my head. But first I'll read a poem from some years ago that I rediscovered recently. And this may be the first time that I've actually read it aloud. And it's called Conundrum. After another afternoon of attempted guidance of urban undergraduates, I approach the house in my teenage Jeep. The block is Benetton. Continental African and Arab medical students, European undergrads, working class blacks, and 3 generations of Mexican immigrants, all kinfolk, in the 2 buildings south of mine and almost completely inhabiting my side of the street to the north. Martinez tradition demands for the men children high school ROTC training, then either active duty or the family business. These pursuits serve one another. Vicente, early 20s, a spit of black grizzle on his thin face, leans out the screenless window of the rust brick 3-flat. Porcelain Virgin Mary presides to his right front on manicured dirt, the walkway lined in rock potpourri from gate to stair. He is reliving last night's transaction with Hector, his slightly older cousin, wearing a navy blue hoodie, back to street as I park. As I open my door, Vicente recounts, yeah, I had to tell my niggas that black nigga was the one. We lock eyes as I emerge, his rouge from smoke, mine from sleep deprivation and the peculiar beatdown suffered at public universities. He nods at me, a grand but simple act of acknowledgement, acceptance, then continues recounting his night. Though I have lived here 2 years, I am new to the block. And this time I have seen as many of the men of Vicente's and Hector's generation go to prison as go to war. They call me Mr. Q and play soccer with my oldest sons. We talk football and football. They have little idea what I do. Sometimes I hang, drink a beer, say something stupid. I have seen their uncle's tattoo. I know who they are. They look after mine. I must pass Hector to get to my gate. It feels rude to walk in front of him between the conversation. He stands near edge of sidewalk where concrete meets freshly swept front yard. I tell my youngest daily to stay on the walkway. Their dirt is impeccable. Hood up, engrossed in Vicente's story, he doesn't hear or see me coming. Excuse me, Hector. He jumps, puts right hand on jacket pocket, reaches in. The outline and angles clear. Unlike his hand, he moves his head slowly toward me. Exhales. Shit, sorry, man. You scared me. So, no, I'll tell you after this. So this is, that was a Chicago poem. This is called Incarceration. It's in 2 parts. 1. Have you ever dreamt of violence? Not the soft shit like breaking someone's heart, the child's dreams, your own promises, but real business. Road rage with car as fist, the artistry in shattered glass, choking a cracker. Electric hum of domestic abuse in my blood, but never hit a woman. Spared sons the rod, though one begged. Nah, neither have I. 2. A stranger lurks inside my DNA. I've seen him on dark South Side streets and dank alleys, smiling through pain. He is walking corpse in fresh kicks, feels everything and nothing. The conundrum of black life. There he goes, a ride with the homies, high on bond and flesh. Going home on imperturbable roads. We live on death row. So, a couple days ago, I received a text from one of my high school homies. I'm from Enid, sad little town that it is. But I received a text from one of my friends from high school that the father of another close friend from high school, that her father passed. And so I responded to that text that I would ask the friend who sent me the text to, if he went to the funeral, to make sure that he looked after my friend's husband. My friend whose father died is married to a black man. And in high school, her father, who was dead, ran me out of his front yard for going to see about his daughter, who had had surgery and couldn't go to school for a year. And that daughter married a black man in Washington, D.C. And the conundrum being whether or not Andre, her husband, was even going to his father-in-law's funeral. That's been resting on my heart all week. I lost my brother a couple years ago. We read 2 poems for him. And this poem, well, it'll speak for itself. It's called Song for Eschew. The night I visit my big brother in intensive care, I dream we are trapped in a dark, endless building, aging warehouse as indoor speedway, halls wide enough for funny cars. His is orange, tires thick like a Hot Wheel on gravel driveway when a boy. At dizzying speed, lights in the distance failing to catch brother and machine. I stand near double doors, guiding him toward getaway, a black Impala gaining ground. Flashlight beam to the right, he drifts into turn, then full stop. I run to glass entrance, night, a parking lot to freedom. I love you, bro, he says. In thunderous smoke, he is out of sight. I slink back to dingy paneled office, lay on an oil and grease-stained mattress. The Fed's car no longer in hallway, but lights puncture the outside windows, disheveling my diseased peace. Damn, I forgot to lock up the front. Door slam, then creak. Slowly stand in shadow to meet a lifeless, smiling sheriff in cowboy hat, searchlight, and revolver. He is familiar. My mouth moves without sound. Daddy doesn't say a word. And then Obituary. So fortunately, after that moment, my brother held on for almost a year. And then he passed. And this is Obituary for, his nickname was Champ. Like all of us, he was deeply flawed. Not completely by his doing. Also, like a lot of us. We are judged. We are on how we overcome, how we breathe through. His more crack and generic menthols. His were nieces, nephews, other chances to live. And he did until that last lie was his truth. Pale attempt to veil our worry. Doctor said I have the heart of a 15-year-old. A palpitation, a murmur, pump and valve at 15%. Birthday trip to the kitchen. I know your walk-in stories, too young or far away. I sent you in shared brokenness, knowing skin. A living room with knife, crowbar, and daddy. A small room separated by plexiglass. In front of a house I knew 40 years before. In a dark, smoky garage with our parents' shadows. In our tangled blood. Enid, a 4-letter word. Oh, I skipped one. All right, I'll read 2 more if that's all right. Is that all right, Quinn? Is that all right with y'all? Okay. So, on this conundrum tip. Let's see. So when I lived in Brooklyn, I heard this urban myth. I think every city has an urban myth. Whether or not they're true or not, it's a whole nother story. But this is an urban myth I learned in Brooklyn. And I'll let you all determine whether or not you believe that it actually was true or not. It's called Bodyshop. I've heard tell of a hustle in Brooklyn where clever folks throw themselves in front of cars lurching down Eastern Parkway. Not the beat-up green minivans or duct-taped Toyotas of poets. Not Impalas bleeding chrome, spinning disposable testosterone. But mid to high-end machines of certain insurance booty. Drivers in the 30 to 50 year range, same demographic as Oprah's audience. I suppose there is a right and wrong approach to this science, the angles of minimal damage to consider, side to bumper, back to door, head up, unless her poodle is well groomed. Few have retired, I would speculate, but work less now that checks lack bounce and the mailman walks briskly. It must be the eyes, wide and clean, that distinguish these impact Alvin Ailey's from ordinary jaywalkers. At Utica, I marvel at the desperate genius, the split-second calculus, the risks and gains of such occupation before descent into the anonymity of the four-train. And I'll close with this. And this is a true story. I've always paid attention. So my best friend growing up in Enid for 27 some odd years, a white boy named Russ. And when we were growing up in the 70s and 80s, we were very much into Richard Pryor. We were, in the Richard Pryor movies because that's what we had access to in our PG, our PG asses and ages. But for one of Russ's birthdays, I gave him an idea to share with his parents, and this is what happened. Richard Pryor on the Bicentennial. He stirred us crazy. We were sure we were bad, and replaced Flip and Red for our juvenile impersonations. But when your parents brought home that patriotic record for your 12th birthday, they became crimson and you blue. In the afternoon secrecy of your paneled bunker, Richard taught class. We learned women in black and white, American history in color.
Thank you so much, Q. I hope you got one of those name, image, likeness deals. I want to thank all of y'all for coming out this afternoon to support all of our local poets. This has been a great afternoon. I hope y'all will continue to follow these artists and their work. Like I mentioned before, the Calliope group is going to be right outside the theater selling some books. If you want to buy some, stop by there. Talk to the other poets, see where they're reading next, how you can support their work, how you can purchase their art. If you aren't registered to vote in Oklahoma, the deadline to register to vote for the midterm elections is 2 months from today, October 14th. We've got a table down in our lobby where we can register you to vote right here. And then a month from today, September 11th at 2 p.m. On a Sunday, we're going to be back here for our second People's Poetry reading. We'll be joined by the returning Written Quincey, along with Eder Williams McKnight and Markham Johnson. We hope to see all of you come back out for that and bring some friends. Thank you again for supporting Woody Guthrie, for supporting poetry, and for supporting your local artists. Have a great one. Thank you.
This land is yours.